So we've got a great panel today. It's been a wacky year. And so I thought, hey, wouldn't it be awesome if we shared some of these folks that have really overcome things and really had breakthroughs this year? If we gave them the opportunity to talk about, hey, number one, 2020 was weird for them too, right? They had challenges. It really ultimately came down to some type of a mindset switch, if you will. They'll share with you what that was. And they literally overcame whatever challenges they had to have really incredible years. So I'm really excited to have these incredible, distinctive, elite agents part of our family. They are true contributors and furtherers of our culture. And they're here to share their stories. So with that, Teresa, if you can stop sharing this and let's get our panelists up here. There they are. So panelists, first of all, thank you very, very much. I really appreciate you guys coming up here. This is going to be a super low key, just conversation piece. I've got some questions for you sort of individually, but I want you to feel free to share whatever it is that you think that our other agents could benefit from hearing about. If you don't mind though, if we can first start with just introduce yourself, your name, what area that you're working in, so that everybody in the different areas knows where you're coming from. And then maybe how long you've been in the business. Would that be okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, since you were the first person to speak, why don't you do it?
All righty. Robert Yazbek. I'm up in Steamboat Springs, Colorado. Been in the business since 2006. Been with Todd at Coldwell Banker since what, 2010?
Yeah.
Ish, 11, something like that. What else?
Yeah, that's great. Hey, Cindy and Jeannie, can you guys turn your videos on, please? We got to be able to see your smiling face. Kelsey.
Hi, I'm Kelsey Renover. I'm in Bozeman, and I've been in the industry for about 3 years now. Beautiful.
Big Finn, affectionately called the Big Finn.
Thanks, Todd. Been in the business in Telluride since 1981. We moved here in 1978, and by 81, the writing was on the wall that Telluride was going to change, and I've always enjoyed real estate, or had up to that point. And Todd bought my company that I had had for 35 years, 2 years ago. And this year, or 2021, marks 40 years in the business. The last 2 years have been very relevant for me for two reasons. Sold the company 2 years ago. And then in March of this year, Suzanne Wood, who many of you know, took over for me as managing director. I always believe that if you're going to leave your post on a board or within a company, you should always try to find someone who's better than you are to replace yourself with. And I have to say that my good fortune this year was substantially based on the fact that I had the ability to turn over my management to someone that is unbelievably qualified. And if any of you get a chance to have her as a coach, you'll be very lucky. She'll stay all over you.
That's awesome. Thank you. Jeannie Keel.
Good morning. I am in Sun Valley, and I've been here in real estate for probably about 15 years. And I think I've been here at Coldwell Banker. Is it 2 or 3?
I think you're almost 3. I think March is 3.
Okay.
Awesome. Great. Miss Ficklin.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
All right. I'm Cindy Ficklin. I'm in the Grand Junction office. I have been selling real estate for right at 18 years. I've been with Coldwell Banker pretty much the whole time. And I have almost tripled my sales production in 2020.
That's fantastic. Excuse me. Hey guys, so like I said, this is super low key and just sort of Q&A. There is a Q&A button. If you will go into that Q&A button and ask any questions that you have, whether they're for myself, Carrie, Teresa, or any of the panelists. But as you can see, we've got a whole obviously different marketplaces, right? Some of them are more traditional, some of them are resort, some of them are high end, some of them are less expensive. You've got people who have been in the business not quite 3 years, and you got people who have been in this business for 4 decades. There is a ton of knowledge and experience on this call. So what I think I'd like to do, I guess the one thing I might ask each of you just really quickly is, like, in 2020, it was weird, right? It was a weird year. And for some people, it was a really tough, challenging year in a bad way. And other people, it was a really tough, challenging way, and they ended up on the good side of it. But I don't know anybody that didn't have a tough challenge of some sort within the course of the year. I might ask, Kelsey, why don't we start with you? Like, did you have any struggles in 2021 that were maybe that you'd like to highlight that maybe some of our people might understand?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'll just start off by admitting that I am the agent that gets really busy and then doesn't do the things. So for me, the biggest struggle, I think, was I started my year off pretty slow. Like, my Q1 was slow and scary. And it's because I didn't do the things the previous quarter, right? So I started off kind of in a mindset wise, just in a good place, feeling the struggle of that. And then obviously COVID hits, and I told myself, you know what, like, I'm going to hit this hard, and I'm going to make this the best that it can be. And I'm going to talk to all my people and do all the things that I need to do. And I did. And it was amazing. And then here I was sitting with, 12 pending transactions and wasn't doing any lead gen again. So I think consistency, if I had to just put it into one word, it was just the struggles were the lack of consistency, and what that then turned into in my personal life. And, not the mom I want to be, or the wife, or the agent, or the leader, or any of those things, because it was too much of a struggle.
That's awesome. Thank you for being vulnerable about that. I think most of us can like raise their hand and go, yeah, that was kind of probably me. And that was awesome. Thank you. Mr. Yazbek, any chat? Well, I can think of one right off the top of my head, but any challenges for 2020 that are worth noting?
Yeah, I mean, besides the one that everybody had in March, I kind of did the same thing as Kelsey. When that hit, I just kind of went into overdrive, hyper, action mode, and decided I was going to, go all in on social media and video and all that stuff. So we went, big, and started talking to more people and reaching out to more people, and increased our, reach and footprint and everything. Double, triple down on marketing, maybe out of fear. I don't know. Right. I'm sure some of it was fear. Some of it was, maybe sound advice from mentors and coaches and whatnot, but that's what we did. And that's how we got through that for sure. We, got in action more so than ever. And we came out the other side doing really, really well, and I mean, we had a couple million in real estate fall out, more than that as a result of COVID. Right. And we weren't, off to a really great start of the year. So it was a scary time. But that obviously made us better. And the story changed a month or two later, and we've had our best year ever times, 2+. Yeah. And then about a month ago yesterday, I got hit by a dump truck. I got rear-ended and got completely mangled, but not too bad. I didn't end up in the hospital during COVID, which was great. But I'm still recovering from a concussion. These are my blue light blocker glasses here for my screen time. And I can tell you, just to sum it up quick, I mean, that kicked my butt. And, it depends who you talk to. People are like, it'll take you years to recover, and you can't do anything, and you have to hide under a blanket for the rest of your life. Or, I mean, it's like you get a lot of really scary stories about concussions. So I had to lean on my team big time. So that was the big, just to sum it up, I was super blessed and fortunate to have a team at a really good place that I could lean on. And, if you're in a team leader position or any sort of business owner, I think most realtors, I would say, if you haven't accepted the fact that you're a control freak, you should just go ahead and get that out of the way. So being a control freak at some level, it was really tough to let go, but letting go and trusting my team was what made me better and stronger. And we've changed so many, things and structures about the business and our team that we may have never done if that hadn't happened.
I
That's
was
going to benefit
just
us.
literally thinking that, but because anybody that knows Robert, like he is the control freak of all control freaks. He makes most control freaks kind of look amateurish. And that really did force him to sort of let go. And I want to dig in here in just a minute about some of the wins there. Cindy, any notable challenges in 2020 that you personally faced?
Well, so when COVID hit, I thought we were all going to die, and I was bleaching the bottom of my shoes and, really kind of freaking out. And so I literally sat on my back patio after, trying to go mountain biking or something to try and get my head screwed on straight. And I sat there and would day drink along with a lot of other people. And so I just started calling all of my clients over the last 18 years just to find out like how they were doing and if they were okay. And, if they were freaking out like me, and just having those conversations. And it's funny because it turned into like, remember in the 1980s, we would have like an hour-long conversation on the phone. That's what they were, because none of us.
You mean the one that was attached to the wall? The phone that was attached?
Yeah. So that was me, just on the phone, one client after the next. And it was something that was just helping all of us, I think, my clients and I, be able to deal with the situation. And what happened from that, we didn't talk about business barely at all. It was mostly just talking about our lives and our families and what was happening in the world, and our fears, and just reminiscing,
What
stuff
they
like
were
that.
drinking.
And drinking. And actually they would go and get a glass of wine or, a cocktail too. And they're like, that's a great idea. Let's do this together. And it was a lot of fun. Well, it was hundreds of phone calls, and some of them were an hour long. And it was so awesome to catch up with people that way. Well, I didn't ask for business from that because that's not what I was doing. But those phone calls, all of them, turned into business later within a couple of months, just because, and it wasn't about getting business. It was about the people. It was about the relationship, and it changed everything. And so to be able to take that forward into 2021, knowing now that we're going to be just as busy, if not busier, which blows my mind, it's about finding out about people and relationship and how they're doing.
Yeah, and I'm glad you did that, because that's what I'm going to really dig in with you today is authenticity. Like, when people were making those phone calls, we all got the phone calls from the people that actually cared, and then we also got the phone calls that from the people that cared about their pocketbooks, and there was a very, very big difference there.
Yeah.
Eric, 2020, any struggles in 2020, Mr. Fellinius?
Oh, a few odds and ends.
Yeah, maybe.
I'll tell you, we are, all of us in the real estate business, especially all of those who are taking part in this meeting, who I know are all producers and all are focused and care about what they do. It absolutely blows me away that we were so unbelievably blessed in a year that has presented so many challenges for so many other people. Driving through Telluride today in the evening, restaurants are closed, bars are closed, no one's on the street. It's going to be a fascinating 2021. From my perspective, I'm just so thankful that I'm in the real estate business since in March, all around March 17th, when Suzanne took over for me. The shit was hitting the fan, and I remember clearly Josephine and I sitting down and going through our finances and trying to figure out how we're going to do it for 12 months without any business. Because we remembered the last recession that we had gone through, and we all had our meetings and our conversations about it. So being able to sit here today and talk about the successes that we experienced this year, you know, unbelievable. I had,
Truly.
after 40 years in the business, I had the best year I've ever had. Had a heart attack on July 8th. And the lesson there, everyone, is I'm as fit as anyone in this company. My physical fitness is number one on my list of personal needs. And heart health and artery health has nothing to do, or it does, it has a lot to do with physical fitness. But I experienced an episode where I had a piece of plaque that released in an artery on July 8th. I had just come back from a 47-mile bike ride. I had a strain in my upper left arm that I didn't recognize. My wife, Josephine, was paying very close attention to me. I asked for my blood pressure monitor and my oximeter, and she thought, that's an odd thing for Eric to ask for. And she came upstairs. I was getting ready to take a shower. She came upstairs and took one look at me and said, I'm calling 911. And she knew that something was off. And I'll tell you, if you ever have that odd sensation in your arm that you don't really recognize, and I've had plenty of physical pain in my life as an athlete. If you feel something that's off, pay attention to it. It could have happened any other moment where no one was around, and I was very thankful that Josephine was here. Everyone did what they were supposed to, and I came out of it just fine. In September, I did our Mountains to the Desert ride, 103 miler, and my recovery was great, probably because I was fit. So that was probably my big setback. But I'll tell you, I had my computer on the bed at the hospital, and I don't really think I
That's a real estate agent for you right there. Never quit.
I don't think I missed a day of work.
Oh, I don't think you did. I think you were emailing me, and I was like, what do you mean he just had a heart attack? Actually, he was emailing me, and he hadn't told me yet. I didn't find out for a week that he had this. So, guys, not only did he have this personal challenge, but of all of the markets that we serve, no market was closed down like Telluride was. Like, they literally closed it down. They wouldn't let anybody in that didn't live there. And even people who had second homes there that didn't live there primarily were not allowed in. Okay. So they had a massive closure. So really huge. Jeannie, I want to hear from you. What was your challenge for 2020?
Definitely no different than anybody else with COVID, and the lack of social for me was really hard. And being in a small condo and being kind of cooped up, what kind of saved me from that was I'd hike the mountain every morning and ski down with a friend, and that connection and just being out in nature saved me for sure. But from a business standpoint, figuring out how to use Zoom and what to say to people when I call them, it was like ridiculous. But then I, started having those conversations that a lot of you started having, and just connecting with people. And I didn't do day drinking. Cake batter was my comfort.
Cake batter.
cake batter. Yeah, all of that good stuff.
I love it. That is awesome. That's beautiful.
And she looks amazing, so you can't tell.
That's right. So for those of you on this call, do any of these resonate with you? Does any of this stuff sound familiar? Like, we all experience so many different things, but they're kind of the same. We all felt it. Yeah. Yeah. Suzanne, love cake batter. Love it. All right. So let me dig into a couple of specific questions. And Robert, I'm going to start with you. So in 2019, you did and I'm using rough numbers. Okay. So forgive me if I'm not spot on, but in 2019, you did about $13 million in sales. This year, you already have eclipsed $45 million in sales. Dude, that's a massive change in production. What happened? Like how did that happen? Did you suddenly find like a lead tree someplace that was you just go and shake it every once in a while and it would just rain money?
Wish. I think it was just a culmination of everything. And like I said, I mean, I trust my coach when he made it clear to me that the reason we're crushing it, above the MLS and what other agents are doing in, April, May, June, July, et cetera, is because in March we went big, you know what I mean? Like on day one, this thing's serious. We, made it a point to expand our footprint and be the trusted agent and be the, caring agent, the reliable source and the knowledge broker and that kind of stuff. We started posting stats every week and, contacting people. And I think, there's a component of what that actually did tangibly. And then I think there's a component of just pushing it hard and setting intentions and getting in the mindset and, pushing.
So when you talk about, so you really leaned into to what to generate those connections? What platforms were you really working on? And were these people that you didn't know? Like, were you buying leads? What were you doing?
No, we quit buying leads around there. Right. Actually, before we quit buying leads, and we decided to go be, the trusted agent and work our sphere and our database and locals and be, providing valuable content and more value to people that we know, and let people, get to know us, right? Because people want to work with people they know, like, and trust. So started doing more video and that kind of stuff so people can just get to know us and what we're about, and, made our message more sincere and more authentic and more real. So, direct mail, social media, phone calls, broker to broker, that kind of stuff.
Did y'all hear that? Like, you want to talk about a mindset shift, right? So he went from 13 million to over 45 million in 1 year, and he stopped buying leads, right? He went all in on just organically and just sharing himself. He trusted in this whole idea that if he just provided value to people that he already knew, that already trusted him, and that would spider. Did it work?
Yeah. And to piggyback on that, we're doing it again. Like, we just got done making the decision to spend less money on Facebook and go more organic on Facebook. So we're committing to that even more.
That's awesome. That is super cool. Again, you guys, questions in the Q&A tab. So I'm sure you guys are going to have specific questions for them, like how are they doing this? Because like I said, each and every one of them has crushed it. Jeannie, I'm going to go to you next. So I was looking at your numbers, right? And by the way, Jeannie knows her numbers. This is a woman who knows her numbers, right? And that might be a little a quality that you might want to mirror. But over the last 3 years, $6 million, $14 million, over $20 million in sales this year. Like, that is an incredible trajectory. Like, what are you doing differently to grow? As you had mentioned before, you've been in, it's not like you've only been in the business for 3 years. You've been in the business for a number of years. Like, what are you doing different?
I have a Buffini coach, I have you, and then I have another accountability group. So I have a lot of accountability in my life, and I'm actually doing what my coaches are telling me to do as far as connecting with people, mainly with phone calls, notes, pop buys. And this year I mailed pop buys out just because it's COVID. So I'm not going to go see people, but I mailed coffee out to people. And there's a place here in town that does personalized coffee, and I can write on there, write a personal note on there. But tracking is a big deal. When I can, track my phone calls, notes, pop buys, and kind of see where I am. I mean, you can't improve what you don't measure.
You want to say that again?
You can't improve what you don't measure. And I certainly don't do it perfectly, but it certainly helps me decide how I move forward when I do track.
Yeah, I mean, it's the whole feel versus real, right? We oftentimes feel a particular way, and usually it shows up in the form of some kind of anxiety. And then if you're tracking, you can actually look at the numbers and go, oh, hey, that's not real, right? and you can really hone in on the areas that make a difference. So what was the big difference for you in 2020 from a production standpoint? Like, how did you go to over $20 million? Any secret sauce, any magic bullets?
No secret. I worked all the time. I literally worked all the time, nights, weekends. I'm not doing anything social, so my energy goes to work. And I did use Transaction Coordinator that Coldwell Banker provides, which is amazing. It frees me up from having to do a lot of that paperwork.
Yeah, leverage.
That's a big one. Mm-hmm.
So what I heard you say is you took the opportunity that COVID presented to spend more time allocated on your business, and then you maybe valued your time a little differently, outsourcing the $15 to $20 an hour work and pouring into the high dollar work.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome, beautiful. All right. So Kelsey, you ready for me? I got to read my question to you. So you've been in the business for a short period of time by comparison to a bunch of these other folks, right?
Yeah.
You got somebody in your corner, which is great. You struggled earlier this year, as you shared just a little bit. So what did you do to change that trajectory, right? Like, we a lot of people are like, oh, I'm going down, it's horrible, and then they just go, right? You at some point made a decision that you were not going to accept failure for this year, and you did something different. What was it?
Yeah. So I think I have Todd as my coach. I'm so blessed. And so it kind of came to fruition in a coaching call. And, we obviously talk a lot about do the things that give you the power, right? And it really is that simple. It's not easy, but it really is that simple. And so on one of our coaching calls, I was like, I'm so overwhelmed. I've got so many people I need to call, and I have so many people in my database that I haven't given time to. And I just, I was kind of feeling like, how do I do this? It's late in the year. Is it too late? All these things go through your mind, right? And so Todd challenged me to call my entire database, which was a little over 1,000 at that point, in 20 days. So I made 50 phone calls a day to get through my entire database, which I'm done with. And it's been incredible. Like it was the first few days were a little bit rough, like you kind of go into this, at least I did. I'm very headstrong. So I was like, there's no way I'm not going to make my 50 calls. And I'll tell you my consequence another time that Todd gave me. But anyway, so I just decided I'm going to make these calls. And at first I wanted to look up every person and figure out like who they are. And, when did I help them buy their house and how are their kids story? So I could have this, really meaningful conversation, which is important, but it also gets to the point where you have 50 phone calls to make every day. And so you have to be able to have those genuine conversations, like in a quick manner, but also in an effective manner. And so being able to do that, I think, Todd, the last time we talked, the phone calls that I've made have generated a potential like $1.7 million in business. And so that's what's changed my trajectory. Like that's how I'm going to not sit in Q1 and be like, oh my gosh, I'm slow. I don't have anything going on, and trying to backpedal and make up for those lost months. So that's
awesome. Excuse me. That's cool. All right. So Eric, you said it, 4 decades in the business, but this was your best year ever. Explain.
What Robert said.
What he said? What? Just reconnecting?
I'll tell you, being in a resort community, and I think Robert probably experiences this, although their market is bigger than ours. Telluride's market is so unbelievably tiny. I think I've done 16 transactions this year, and I'm around 35 million in sales. Each year, at the end of the year, when I look back on each transaction and think in terms of whether it was a listing or a sales side, sometimes both. And I think about where those transactions came from. And I consider how easily any one of them might not have happened. my business here in Telluride scares the hell out of me because it can be so amazingly inconsistent. What's really been important for me is to, as a real estate broker, remain very, very consistent and steadfast in how I do my work over the years. There's no doubt that in our business, time will pay dividends. If you do what you say you're going to do, you do it in a timely manner, you stay focused, you stay knowledgeable about the market, you know what you're talking about, people will come back to you. 100% of my business this year was repeat clients, referrals, my sphere of influence of my friends and acquaintances. So 100% of my most successful year ever was based on people that I've touched over the years. And that's for me. And we'll get into challenges for the coming year. So I'll talk about that in a little bit. Steve Martin said, "Be so good that they can't ignore you." In our business, with the level of competition that we're up against, you just need to be so good that they see who you are. You know, I've always jokingly said that Telluride can handle another t-shirt shop. That's not a problem. They just have to make sure that they're better than another one, or be better than all of them. And I think that's true for us in this incredibly competitive business. Telluride has about 185 brokers. We will almost double our sales this year we did 740 million in 2007. And I think we're on track to do about $1.2 billion or $1.3 billion this year. So a big jump. But when you go through all the transactions, there are a lot of brokers in the business. So you just have to stay on it, and staying on it for a long period of time. You can have a year that's your record year, and it's solely based on your friends and your clients that you've always worked with. So
I'm sure a bunch of people, as soon as you gave the numbers, 16 sides, 35 million, everybody's like, what was the average price? Yes, it was $2 million, $2.3 million average sales price. Not too shabby. Pretty good.
I'll tell you, Todd, it's brutal. It's brutal when your number of transactions are so few. And I know Valerie in Montrose works her butt off. When you take that average transaction down to hundreds of thousands of dollars, you are working hard, and you better be so good that they can't ignore.
So good. That's right. So good. I love that. Hey, by the way, and we're going to jump to Cindy here in 1 second. I don't know if you've noticed, but not yet have you heard anybody talking about how they're buying leads. Did you notice that? And yet these people are having record-breaking success, and we yet to have anybody talk about how they were, Zillowing it or Realtor.coming it or Boomtowning it, or, fill in whatever blanks you want, right? These are people who have done their business by being the right person, doing the right thing at the right time for the right people, right? So Cindy, I want to jump to you here. So Cindy, like, you're kind of a one-man show, right? One woman show. I'm not sure there's anybody on the call that uses social media more than you do, or the way that you do.
Thank you.
You went from, so I wrote down your numbers. So we go 7.6 million, 12.7 million last year, and over 20 million this year. Like, you and Jeannie are like neck and neck on this race to stardom. What the hell did you do?
Well, okay. Wow.
Great question. As far as social media, I got really super passionate about what was happening in our world, and became kind of the expert on the politics, and then the data, and what was happening in the real estate industry, and people moving out of the urban areas into our area, and why they were coming here, and what sorts of things they could do here, and just making sure that every post, because I post at least once a day, and it's a big long post, but it's something that is going to grab people. Some people just go to my page to read what it is that I'm going to say. Some of it's controversial, some of it is informative, but that's how I get people to go to my page every day. For every 10 posts that I do, I go ahead and make sure I say something about real estate, whether it's posting my just solds or under contracts, or just throwing it out there that I am a realtor, just working it in somehow. And then that way people always remember that I am a realtor, and people who have shared my posts see, oh, she's a realtor. And so that's one of the ways that through social networking that I've been able to get the additional business that I have this year.
So there's, Cindy kind of flies in the face of what many coaches, mentors, social media folks tell us that we should be doing from a messaging standpoint. And I want to call attention to this because I'm trying to remember which one of you said it, but the inference was authenticity.
Yeah.
So here's the deal, right? Like we had the people that called us, and you could tell they were just, they really weren't checking on you. They were just checking to see whether or not you could help them achieve what they wanted to. And then we had the phone calls from people that really just, they cared about me.
Yes.
Those are awesome, right? So when it comes to politics, as an example, or opinions, we are taught, and I'm one of them, right? That says, hey, listen, if you make that stand, you're essentially cutting out half of the population. And Cindy said, I'm good with that, right? And Cindy, you don't have to agree with her politics, right?
Right.
She was passionate, she was respectful, she was kind, she was true to herself, she was authentic, and she delivered a consistent message. And I don't know if you heard, but she said on every 10th post. So she might have a process in place as to how she's going to do it. If you haven't, I would really encourage you to get on her Facebook page. If you are a Republican, you are going to love her page. If you're a Democrat, you're going to hate her page. But here's the thing: I understand that she's super respectful about her messaging, right? So don't get on there and cause a bunch of shit. But learn that here's a woman who said, "Hey, listen, I am going to be authentic with my message and what I believe." She got so much business from it. It was completely and totally crazy. Cindy, can you share the most recent one, which is completely and totally crazy, where you basically told everybody to stop calling you, that you were not taking any?
Yeah. Well, I've done so much business this year that I felt like I needed a little bit of a breather. And so, and I think I was closing 17 deals in 2.5 weeks. Like, it was insane. And I was like, I just need a breather. So I put on Facebook that I wasn't going to be taking any new clients until January 1st, 2020. And I, wrote about how grateful I am for all of my clients and the people who believed in me. And I think somebody screenshotted it, sent it to Todd, like, what is she doing? And it blew up into business. Will you please just take me? Will you please just take my daughter-in-law? Will you please just, it was just one more. So becoming rare, a rarity then became a commodity. And then that particular post just absolutely blew up. So into even more business, and it's really stacked my pipeline for January, February, March.
That's awesome.
I'm not saying that everybody should be, putting on Facebook, hey, I'm not going to take any new clients. That might not be the best idea, but I don't know. It worked out, and that was risky.
For sure. Yeah. Well, listen, so you've heard a lot. Like, sounds like authenticity might be a real big one. It sounds like leaning into the people that already know and love you might be a really great one. It sounds like buying leads, maybe not the primary strategy of the future. So let's talk about the future with our panelists. Robert, why don't we start with you, buddy? Do you see a particular challenge for 2021 that you're tackling? And is there one or two very specific things that you're going to do in 2021 to do even better?
Yeah, definitely. I think the challenge is inventory, obviously, at least for us. And, you know, we've been working on how to solve that challenge and how to find off-market properties for quite a while. So we honed that in fairly well. So, you know, just being really consistent and kind of doubling down on that process is the, you know, tactical solution, I think, there. And then for the team to you know, keep this momentum going and keep this pace going, it's you know, for me, it's kind of slow down a little to speed up, be more strategic, you know, take deeper breaths, spend more time with my family. The getting rear-ended by the dump truck, you know, did a lot for me mentally. So I need to take a step back, you know, pour into my team, trust my team, grow my team, and help them, you know, grow their businesses. And you know, part of how we're doing that is by going all in on social media, video, again, like letting people know who we are, what we're about, what we can provide. And you know, we think that's going to excel us into our new mantra of being the obvious choice for any decent person looking to buy or sell on Steamboat.
Dude, I love that. The way to speed up is to slow down. I got that one. And then what was the other one? I think Jeannie said, you can't improve what you don't measure. I'm getting all these like one-liners I'm gonna use. Kelsey, can you answer the same question? Like, is there one challenge that you're looking at, and do you have one or two specific things that you're going to go all in on to win in 2021?
Yeah, I think just, you know, personally for me with the kind of the past, it's just consistency. So just keeping on with the things that have brought me success, double down on the things that brought you or me success, right? It's individual. So whatever things have worked, like double down on them and do them harder than you ever have. And then I think adding to that is just continuing to build the list, right? Like I can build the list, serve the list. I can serve it all day, but if I don't have enough people that I'm constantly adding to it, then, you know, it's not helpful. So continuing to build that list, to make those connections, build those relationships, and just be consistent.
Love it. Little Sharon thrown in there. Build the list, serve the list. Rock on. Cindy, same question.
Okay, well, talking about one-liners, I really like this one. So success is not owned, it's rented. So you have to pay the rent every month. So just because maybe we had a really successful 2020 doesn't mean that we don't need to put in the hard work in 2021. What we learned from 2020, we can use in 2021. Knowledge is potential power, but execution is where the real power is. So these are all these one-liners. And I was going to say that one of the things that has also assisted in my success this year is that I've become a huge fan of like Tony Robbins and Rachel Hollis. And if you just go to YouTube and you get on Tony Robbins, they'll give you some suggestions of other types of speakers. And if you just listen to that as you have it's just opportunity. You might be doing the dishes, just put it in your earbuds and listen to all of these positive psychology types of folks. It really continues to keep your mindset on a positive momentum. And that really does matter. I've noticed just what a huge impact that's made on me.
That's awesome, Cindy. Feed the beast, right? Yes. You gotta put good stuff in. You put crappy fuel in your car runs crappy. Right. So fill your mind. I love it. Eric, challenge for 2021 and one or two key things that you're going to go all in on to win. Oh, you're muted.
For me, 2020 and 2021 have redirected how I'm doing my business, of course. And I think the sort of the takeaway for me at this point is being able to adapt to the changes that come our way, because we are adapting to doing everything so differently. Working at home has changed so much about my my daily life. Staying out of the office has been critical. And I'm 66. At my age, adapting, of course, becomes more challenging. I am so incredibly fortunate to have my son Ian, who's 32, working next to me, because he understands today's technology in a way that I don't, and having that energy that Kelsey and Cindy and Jeannie and Robert bring to the game. I need someone to help me with those things, and I'm very thankful to have him be a part of.
Hey, no pressure, Ian. No pressure, buddy.
I also sincerely believe that that our personal individual enthusiasm drives our business. And when we're excited about what we're doing and we're energized, and when we talk to someone, they feel that positive energy, it just makes a really big difference. And that takes you back to your personal wellness, your mindset, continuing to work on your communication skills, being a better listener, that list of things that we all focus on. Enthusiasm is key.
That's awesome. Jeannie, I think I don't think I've asked you this question. So 2021, big challenge that you're expecting or looking at. A couple of things that you are going to go all in on to win.
I definitely want to grow my business. I've got some big goals, and with that said, I want to spend less time working. So my goal is to be more focused and create systems and standard operating practices, use the transaction coordinators, continue coaching and reading books, mainly on Audible, actually. But my big challenge is to plan the day and work the plan. A lot of times I'll get sidetracked from what my plan is. So that's my plan for the year.
Gosh, you guys, this is so good. Like, I mean, what you guys are saying is so awesome. I hope you all on this call are getting a ton out of this. And if there's somebody that didn't get on this call, we had 140 or so people on here. But if there is somebody that didn't see it, we're going to put it on Inside Track. But send this to them, right? Because we have a lot of people that don't maybe understand or haven't yet connected with this idea that I think everybody on here, with the exception of one of you, has a coach, right? And the one that doesn't currently have a coach has been a coach. I think everybody on here has been talking about authenticity. Everybody on here has been talking about mindset and how they feed their mind and their mindset and how that shift. Every single one of you have talked about sort of organic lead generation and not silver bullet and snake oil and all that kind of stuff. It's just super powerful stuff. So I hope you guys will make sure that you share this. I know Teresa is running the questions here, so I'm going to turn it over to her. If just out of respect for time, and I want to make sure we get to these questions. If we can just rapid fire through the questions and make sure that we get those checked off, that would be fantastic. Thank you, Teresa. Take it away.
You got it. So Kelsey, this is for you. Your presence on social media. How do you come up with your content?
Yeah, so I record videos every Friday. I've built that into my schedule, and I live by that every single week. So every Friday I'm recording videos. A lot of the content that I get for my videos, truthfully, comes from KCM. They have amazing stuff. They have great stats. It's super easy to read and understand and make it your own. And I was just in a place where I knew I had to be on video. And so I was like, I'm going to go to a place where I know they have great information and control the narrative. So that would be probably my first place to go, would be KCM. And then, just fuel your brain with any other real estate related information. And that gives me talking points as well.
Awesome. Thank you. What's the greatest piece of advice to someone entering the resort real estate business? So which one of you wants to take that? Robert, Jeannie, Finn. Go Eric!
Yeah, Debbie Pruitt asked the question, and I'm very fortunate that Debbie's going to be working with me. So I'm looking forward to assisting her with answering that multifaceted question. You know, in general, it's everything we've talked about. You know, we have to take advantage of all the fantastic tools that Distinctive Properties offers. That's critical, and it's really everything we've discussed. I'm going to sit down with Debbie and go through it in great detail.
Great, appreciate it. So Dylan in Bozeman, he's thanks to everybody for doing this and asks, which CB tool have you found to be most effective for lead gen in your business?
100% social ad engine.
Anybody else?
That's a big one.
Yep, I think so.
Hey, I'd like to go back to Debbie's just here for 1 second and ask Jeannie, would you answer that question? Like, what's the greatest piece of advice that you would give Debbie for entering the resort real estate business?
I don't know. A huge percentage of my business is based on referrals. So it's just staying in touch with my people and letting them know I care about them. They may not have a need right now, but they may know someone who does. And it would be asking that question.
Love it. Thank you. And Kelsey's answer was social ad engine.
Yep.
For those of you that were asking.
Yep. What's the cadence for social media? And do you have a method for call and follow-up? This could be anybody.
Yeah, for those of you crushing social media, so you've got Robert is hitting it hard, Kelsey's hitting it hard, Cindy's definitely hitting it hard. Which cadence?
Start. I think just making sure that you're constantly posting something. Like, don't take a week off, don't take 2 weeks off, certainly don't take anything more than that. But I mean, you should be posting every day. Post every day, put stuff on your story, make it engaging for the community. I've found that kind of gives me the best return is if I do maybe some questions about, you know, a poll in your story, things like that, anything to get more engagement. And then on the social media realm, I would say just comment and be in everyone's feed as much as you can. Like, anytime somebody on Facebook posts a picture of their kid, comment, so cute. Oh my gosh, so cute. Whatever it is, be present in all of their social medias too, because once they start to see, like, I can't tell you how many people I'll respond to, and then, you know, a week later, all of a sudden they're texting me saying, hey, like, we've just seen your videos and, you know, we would consider selling. So it makes a huge difference.
Fantastic.
I think going off of that too, if somebody's going to take the time to comment on one of my posts, whether they are in agreement or not with me, I'm always super respectful and thoughtful and thorough with how I respond back to them. And I always make sure that they feel validated and happy that they took the time to write a comment. And sometimes I'll go ahead and follow it up with a text or a message or a phone call even. It's just a real opportunity to touch people every single day. And then that point about it going through news feeds, whatever it is that you're posting, if it really gets people and gets them excited and emotional and they're dying to share it, all of those shares, those turn into more business also. So whatever it is that you're writing, making sure that it's dynamic and reaches people, maybe through laughter, maybe through invoking emotion of some sort, but making it matter and making sure that people feel like they matter whenever they take the time to post something, whether they're posting on their page or they're commenting on yours.
Love it. Hey, Robert, why don't you jump in here real fast, because you have been very intentional with your message, your cadence, your method. What are you doing?
I don't know. I think these people on the call are doing better than me, but I could say that recently I heard that the average person is on social media 4 hours a day. So they're there. Your clients are on social media, right? So if you're not, I mean, it's the place where you can reach the most people, the most impactfully in the least amount of time. But I, have I leverage my team a lot too. A lot of people post stuff for us. And then, lifestyle, I think in the resort markets, I think it's all about lifestyle and what you're actually doing, a day in the life of the realtor, the, behind the scenes stuff. Don't be afraid to say what you're doing that's unique and show a little bit of your unique value proposition kind of as well. Like be the leader in that respect and, sell the town and the vibe and the fun,
Love it. I
Great.
love it. Absolutely fantastic. Teresa, I think you got one more.
Yep, we got one more, and it's for you, Kelsey. It's how much did your TikTok video contribute to production?
Oh my gosh, funny. Somebody had to bring that up. Honestly, I haven't had any direct business yet from it. I've had several people reach out directly from it, and I've had a ton of agents in other markets reach out for referrals and things like that. So there's definitely huge potential there for sure.
Where did that land? Like how many views did you ultimately have on that thing?
I looked last week and it was 10.1 million. Crazy. Just flop in a pool. You never know.
That is just insane. It was a really good video, if that means anything. So
Thanks.
all right, you guys, hey, listen, you all are amazing. And I want to thank you very much for sharing some of your wisdom. Your success in 2020 has been absolutely incredible. Very well deserved. One of the things that I have really appreciated is just to be a partner on the journey with you and watch you all grow. It's been really, really cool. So thank you personally. And I'm sure everybody, excuse me, on the call is very appreciative. Before I let you guys go, I would love just to run through here. Again, what's your market and what's the best way for somebody to get in touch with you if they want to send you a referral? So Kelsey, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, so my phone number is probably the best. So 406, and I can put it in the chat too, but 406-690-8032. And then I would love if anybody wants to follow me on social media. It's Renovere Real Estate Group on Instagram. And then Facebook is the Renovere Real Estate Group as well.
Fantastic. Mr. Flanius.
TellYourRideBroker@gmail.com is my email, and my phone number is 970-708-1954.
Wonderful. Anything Telluride and surrounding, that's your guy right there. He knows where all the bodies are buried. Jeannie, Sun Valley, Blaine County, Killer, best way to reach you if we want to send you some business.
208-720-4063.
Okay.
I welcome any referrals.
Yeah, any social media handle you want to promote here?
I don't do a lot on social media. You guys are all so inspiring. But I just don't do a lot there.
Good.
It's Jeannie Aguirre Keel.
Great. Cindy.
I'm Cindy at gjhomes.com, but it's probably best to get me on Facebook, Cindy Pascal Ficklin, and then message me through Messenger. That I have an IV drip from my phone and my Facebook and Messenger to my body 100% of the time.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Mr. Yazbek.
Steamboat Springs and Routt County, Colorado. Social media handles at Team Yazbek.
At Team Yazbek. Love it. All right, you guys, again, thank you so much. I so appreciate you all. Merry Christmas, everybody, if I don't talk to you. And I will see you next year.
Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Thanks, Todd.
Guys.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys.
Thanks, everyone.